Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Review. Hear about the stories that made headlines in Santa Barbara. Taking it back to last Sunday, a man fell from the cliffs in Isla Vista. The 22-year-old survived, but he was seriously hurt. He may be the second fall victim just this last month. Eyewitnesses believe the victim may have been drinking before he fell, nearly 50 feet to the rocky beach below, the 600 block of Del Playa. Earlier this month, the body of 18-year-old Cal Poly student Giselle Ayala was discovered on the beach in the same area. Officials say it appears she also may have fallen from the cliffs, but they have not yet released the official cause of death. She was in Isla Vista for a spring break party.
On Monday, a Santa Barbara police officer on a coffee break tased a man whom the officer believed was trying to break into a car on Samarkand and De La Vina. Police say the suspect did not cooperate and had to be tased. There was only one problem. The man was trying to get into his own car. The man was identified as Jerry Cox, a known transient and war veteran. Cox said he tried to comply with the officer who took him by surprise, but due to his disability could only lean against a nearby pole. That's when he says the officer shot him with the taser gun. Cox is seeking compensation for the embarrassing moment. Meanwhile, the Santa Barbara Police Department is standing by the officer involved in this incident.
Moving on to Tuesday, a warning for pet owners in Santa Barbara County. Animal service officials say they've seen a number of distemper cases in our area. The disease can be deadly to puppies and dogs with a weak immune system. Symptoms can include lethargy and stomach issues, among others. Experts say the best way to protect your pets is to get it vaccinated. If your pet is showing signs of distemper, officials say to take it to the vet immediately.
The Transportation Security Administration, or the TSA, is putting off the scheduled changes to its list of banned items for air travelers. They're grounding the idea of travelers being able to bring small knives on board after raising concerns. If small knives were allowed, that would mean less calls for police, but make some travelers nervous. As of now, the TSA has not said when they will make a decision on the pocket knife policy, so all air travelers will have to stick to its current rules.
Wednesday night saw the fair kick off at the Earl Warren Showgrounds in Santa Barbara. This year's theme is Hollywood. Crews work to transform the property's buildings into replicas of famous Hollywood landmarks, including the Grauman's Chinese Theater, the Walk of Fame, and the famous Hollywood sign. Hundreds of people showed up to enjoy the carnival thrillers, the petting zoo, food, and Hollywood entertainment for the whole family.
A Santa Barbara County rescue helicopter was able to save a 75-year-old man who was having a serious medical problem while he was alone on a sailboat 100 yards off the Gaviota coast. Captain Sadecki with the Santa Barbara County Fire Department said the man was delivering a boat from San Francisco to San Diego, stopped here, anchored, and after about an hour he developed some sort of medical emergency. The firefighter determined the patient wasn't serious enough to go by helicopter to the hospital, so he was flown here to the parking lot at the state park and was transported via ambulance. The solar sailor was talking to firefighters along the way, and his condition was not considered critical.
Thursday, a man is in custody charged with child pornography and lewd acts with a child. He's 50-year-old Scott Allen Thompson. Sheriff's investigators and detectives served a search warrant at a house on Oak Knoll Road in Orchid. District Attorney Joyce Dudley confirmed evidence was found at that home. So far, authorities have identified one child victim.
And a local doctor has created a way to save lives by giving fellow doctors the information they need during an emergency, even if the patient can't. He calls this invention the Life Locket. You open up your Life Locket and plug it in to the USB drive on your computer. A Life Locket window will pop up on your screen. Then all you have to do is enter your own medical information. All the important information, medications, emergency contacts, everything is stored on a bracelet or a keychain. It even looks like a medical device.
On Friday, a trial date could be set next week in the burglary case against controversial landlord Dario Pini. The DA's office said they requested the charges to be reduced from felonies to misdemeanors, and the judge granted that request. Pini is accused of breaking into a home on Carrillo Street and stealing old copper tubing. Peeney's attorney said his client didn't steal anything. His next court date is expected on May 2nd.
In a very interesting story out of New York, police say an aircraft part apparently from the September 11 attacks was discovered in Lower Manhattan. The piece of landing gear was found Wednesday wedged between two buildings near Ground Zero, behind the site of a controversial Islamic community center. The president of the company that owns the property says the landing gear was planted. The site will remain secured until the medical examiner's office can conduct a health and safety inspection.
Back to the Central Coast on Saturday, an ambitious trip to Santa Cruz Island was cut short for two kayakers. A father and son had to be rescued about 2 miles off Goleta Beach around 4:30 on Saturday. The duo planned a 28-mile kayak trip to Santa Cruz Island, but around 5 hours into the trip, they got tired and the son lost his paddle. They realized they wouldn't make it back and called 911. The Coast Guard flew the two men to the Santa Barbara airport where they were checked by paramedics. They were hypothermic and dehydrated from their trip, but are expected to make a full recovery. And you just can't get enough of Disneyland. This summer, the theme park in Anaheim will be open for 24 hours. To kick off the start of the summer season, Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure will stay open from 6 a.m. on May 24th to 6 a.m. on May 25th. Disney says visitors will enjoy a live band and dancing. There will also be a late-night character pajama party in Mickey's Toontown.
And finally, Santa Barbara County Sheriff's deputies and university police officers continue to search for a suspect near UC Santa Barbara after a brief pursuit and crash late Saturday night. A black Ford Fusion was seen speeding and driving erratically in heavily populated areas in Isla Vista with a few close calls. No one was hurt. Law enforcement called off the pursuit because of safety reasons and called additional units to search for the vehicle. The car crashed into the center divider at El Colegio Road and Embarcadero del Norte, causing heavy frontal damage to the vehicle. Deputies and campus police later found the car parked in Lot 30 across the stadium on campus with the 14-year-old passenger walking away from the vehicle, heavily intoxicated. Deputies held him at gunpoint until he was in custody. The driver of the car remains at large and is described as a 20-year-old male with 2 outstanding warrants out of Lompoc. Alcohol may have been a factor in this incident. All right, moving on to our discussion topic. Can you believe all the attention that, Mr. Cox, the man that got tased for trying to open up his own car, has garnished in this community?
It's been a very interesting story to follow, from the initial call out to finding out that it was his own car. It's just been a really interesting story and how it all went down, and I just hope that it all gets handled and processed appropriately.
Well, I think at the heart of it all, I think this is a story about perception, how somebody perceives somebody else. Who would have thought that was his own car? He's a well-known transient. I've had a chance to meet him in person. He's very nice, very polite, very funny. And you just wouldn't expect a transient to have his own car. But he is trying to get back on his feet. He was very friendly, and the police officer thought that he was breaking into a car just because of the way he looked. I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
Possibly, she could have, the officer just could have seen something happen, and then they just have to jump on it, and then just because, you apprehend somebody, you just question them and find out what their intentions are with what the action you saw, and hopefully you can find a way to prove or believe that their action is justifiable because it's their vehicle, their house, what have you.
Exactly. And, I'm not saying the police officer was wrong in the actions that they took against Jerry Cox, but, you have two people that perceive reality a different way. You have a police officer who I believe that they truly thought that there was a man trying to break into somebody's car. And then we have a man who is that a man doesn't look like his response to the police officer's orders was a little off-putting to the officer, I think. And then all this tasing thing happened, and now the community is robbed the wrong way by the Santa Barbara Police Department one more time. I mean, if you remember the case of Aaron Tudor, we had the same reaction by the community. You have a police officer doing their job, and then the community sees something that to them looks like it's just police abuse. I mean, do you think we're going to have another Rodney King in our midst here, or what?
I can't really say for sure, but I just hope that it all gets handled appropriately. And that if the guy really Mr. Cox decides to take legal action against the officer or the police department, that everything is properly handled.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't blame him if he takes legal action. It's his God-given right to do so. For upcoming events, come to the Santa Barbara Central Library for the annual Dia de los Niños, Dia de los Libros, or Children's Day book celebration, Thursday, May 2nd at 4 p.m. Cost is free and all ages are welcome.
The 14th annual Ojai Storytelling Festival is coming to town. It'll be held on May 3rd from 9 to 8 p.m. The cost starts at $10.
And the Garden Street Academy will host their annual rummage sale on Saturday, May 4th from 8 to 1 p.m. This is going to be at 2300 Garden Street in Santa Barbara. The cost is free and all ages are welcome.
The Santa Barbara Humane Society will have an open house. Come learn more about your pets at the Santa Barbara Humane Society's annual open house event on Sunday, May 5th from noon to 4 p.m. The cost is free and it's open to all ages, as well as pets.
Well, that does it for today's show. Tune in next weekend for another episode of the Urban Review with Oscar
and Claire.
Have a good one.